Welcome to Respect, the San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Micaya, and this is my co-host, the one and only Corey Action.
Peace. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the day. We are getting this show started. Micaya, how are you? You're looking gorgeous over there.
Thank you. I am excited and thrilled that we made it to 25. You know,
this year is going to be so much fun. We're going to have, it's November the 11th and 12th. There's going to be 3 shows this time. They're going to be all in that, impacting those 2 days, which is going to be amazing. Adding to the show this year, not just the great dancing and the products, but we're going to do a couple of dance, like feature, like contest type of things. One thing will be called Echo that I'll be doing, which I'll be teaching some choreography, throwing it to you. And the choreography is not like super hard. It's like very fun, just chill choreography. You have to pick it up, throw it back, pick it up, throw it back. It's called Echo. The next thing we'll have is we'll have a Soul Train line contest, so I would suggest you go online and watch all the old Soul Train like flicks, how they do all the stuff with the dancers and find out what made them hot. And then at the next time, at the third show, we're having a fashion show with all the OG, all the people who became legends of the hip hop community here in the Bay Area and beyond. We'll come out and do some fashion or some of the old stuff, the new stuff. And basically, because there's no fourth day or third day, everything's happening these 2 days. So we really would advise you to buy your ticket because it's going down on November the 12th. November 11th and 12th here at San Francisco at the Palace of Fine Arts. Don't forget to get those tickets though, right, Micaya? Because, man, it's going to be crazy.
Yes. And in Sunday addition to that fashion show, we're going to have some turf dancers. Did you know that?
Wow, I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, yes, honey. We're trying to have a party, like an epic gala. And we're going to have a cake, a 25th anniversary cake. We're going to have cookies and milk and wine and cheese.
I like that. I like that whole idea, the cookies and milk.
Cookies and milk, wine and cheese. Which one would you go for?
I'm going for the cookies and milk,
I knew you were going to say that.
You know, kid, you know me.
How about a cookie and cheese? Or cookie and wine?
I don't know. I like the cookies and milk. We're in the Bay, so those cookies always are very tasty.
I don't know what cookies we're talking about now anymore.
I love it. So are you excited?
Yes.
Are you excited about the interviews that we've already done? And put that information out there. People are checking them out right now. We've had a good time. We pulling stuff out of the dancers and getting to basically open them up a little bit more than just being like, oh yeah, we're coming to do a show. It's like, no, we're actually coming to teach. We're actually coming to testify. We're actually coming to learn and grow. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see the show, and then I'm also just excited how all of you out there, dig the podcasts this year, and all the stuff that we've been talking about with the dancers. It's really, really great. And just if you get a chance to tell people about the podcast, and then they'll want to buy a ticket to the show just in case they need an introduction. This would be a great way to introduce people to the International San Francisco Hip Hop Dance Fest for the 25th year, because there's so much variety, so much knowledge, so much skills, so much passion. So let's see what happens.
It's kind of like reading, kind of understanding the show more. And I realized that, and I think I've talked about this before in this podcast, that a lot of times I assume that the audience knows the difference between like waving and popping and breaking and locking and house and turfing. And then, it's like, wait a minute. Just because they bought a ticket doesn't give, them instant education on that. I still am a constant student. So this podcast really helps because not only learn from these dancers, but they also teach the people listening. I love it.
I love it too. And I love it that because people are coming to San Francisco. One of the things is that I believe that it's good to let people know, okay, this is hip hop, but there's all of these different elements and all of these different ideas and backgrounds, even if they come up at the same time. Sometimes we might hear something and they're calling it one thing and another place is calling it something different just because of the history it may have. It's like I guess our little what in my community over here we used to be the LGBT, and then now we're growing, and I think that's how hip hop is too. I'm born in this stuff, and I'm born in all of this, and it's just interesting. Like when you learn more about different communities, different backgrounds, it's just like, can we add one more thing to this? Seeing like if you see kids doing dance on roller skates, and you're like, oh, and they'll tell you like, oh no, this isn't new, they're like, no, that's new, and it's like, no, they've been roller skating since the 70s. The 70s, you had full on dance lines, that were, people doing that thing that incorporated with boogalooing and incorporated with popping and, gliding and things like that. And so when you talk to other folks and they give you a chance to listen to their background, you're like, whoa, okay, that is different than what I thought. I had no idea that, locking and popping were not the same thing. It's like, or boogaloo and bamming, it's like, or
the same thing. People, even though they say it all the time, they put pop lock all the time.
Exactly.
Even on these TV shows, I heard J-Lo say it one day, and I was like, girl, but I listened to all of the, originators and the OGs, and a lot of times they clash with their stories. And a lot of it, like, I think is their real truth. Really, the truth can happen before they were even born. They just don't have record of it. We don't have videotape. I mean, we're talking about movement styles that are ancient, that come way before our ancestors' ancestor.
Yeah, definitely.
We're getting deep. Why don't we introduce? I'm so excited for today. Oh, I'm so excited for today's guest. Please introduce him.
Yes, I will. So we have I'm going to give my notes because, I like to make sure I have it all down real good. And, because we're OGs in the business nowadays, let me pull back my hat.
Glasses.
Put on my eyeballs here. All right, we have JC from Str8jacket, and he is the executive and artistic director. He has helped found Str8jacket in 2012 and Crazy 8 in 2014. And he's been teaching his butt off to our communities, making sure that the culture of street style, of club style, and stage and performances get a chance to get out there to our young people. So we want to, and I believe he's been in the festival before. So he'll be able to, tell us about that. So JC, why don't you slide on into this Respect podcast and welcome to the San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Festival. And I might have messed those words up, but there's JC. What's up, bro?
Hello. Thank you so much for the introduction, Corey. And hello, Micaya. How y'all doing? We're doing great.
JC, welcome.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for that.
So, JC,
thank you for being here. Yeah, go ahead.
It's good to have you with us again, and I'm so interested in just hearing, what you guys bringing? What's happening? What's Str8jacket bringing down to the stage this year?
So first of all, y'all were discussing history and culture, and something that Str8jacket truly believes in. It's part of our value to preserving the styles, educating a lot of our students in the differences in styles, the niche in the history, the niche part of the history. And I also like the fact that Micaya brought up that, different OGs, different folks that within the same culture may have different experiences, and it's not one factual thing. Like all of them are their own truth. So I think that's completely beautiful. And that kind of really touched base on what we're bringing this year, this time around. That's at DanceFest. And first off, I think Str8jacket kind of paused for a couple of years, or if not a year, from participating in San Francisco's Dance Festival. But Crazy 8 was taking up the mantle and was participating in it as well. And part of it, a huge part of it, is because Str8jacket has been doing a little bit of a switch in our culture. To give everybody like a quick background on what Str8jacket is, we started off at the helm of choreography, where there was a point, especially in 2012, where a lot of teams were coming up and were just doing a lot of choreography, and this includes a lot of teams from colleges, and so that's kind of where we started, and we kind of just wanted to dance on stage and compete, and it's. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when we first started off, we weren't also aware of like the different styles, at least completely. We kind of knew what locking was, popping, but we didn't know like that all of it has their own community and beautiful people that were participating in it. And as we kind of did all our things throughout the year, it got to a point where we said, you know what, like I think we need to make a shift in our team so that to promote more preservation culture-wise and in these styles. So in the past 2 years, we've been shifting over to focusing on club styles and street styles such as whacking, locking, housing, popping, and everything else that comes with popping, everything else that comes in those styles. So in the past 2 years, we've been on our journey learning from different folks locally. We've been traveling too, learning from different folks overseas. And learning from different OGs when they come over, and people from I love the fact that Khalif constantly comes over here, so we get to learn a lot from him as well. So our performance and our set is kind of an amalgamation of our journey, where we want to, as a Bay Area dance team, there's not a lot of Bay Area dance team that focuses on street styles and club styles as much. I'm not saying there's none, there's just not a lot in the grand scheme of things. So we kind of wanted to be the team that, goes back to where this is locking, this is housing, and this is whacking. And we do it in the song where it started with, or like, for example, if we're doing whacking, we do it to a disco song, and we're doing housing, we do it to an actual house song. And when we do locking, we do it to a funk song. So it's that mix of that. We're actually extremely excited to showcase that a Bay Area team can do such a thing, because I know when we travel overseas or compete internationally, we see other teams from other countries, for lack of a better word, kind of do all these styles better than like US, when it's like, dude, like if these styles came from us, we should be representing ourselves. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was picturing like how many people you have to bring in, like if you bring some OGs in to learn some of the different styles, like saying about doing the whacking to like a disco track or a track like that, because I believe when you do go to the original feel of the music, or one of the original people who are part of that beginning, you do learn you learn something, like you thought you were doing it, and then you're like, oh wait, okay, so are you supposed to be doing it on the hand here? I thought we could just be like, it's like, no,
yeah.
Right here, you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't know that. So it's good to hear that you guys do that. And you're from the Bay Area, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So, I mean, you get a chance to, actually get a lot of different styles, here in the Bay, from the clubs and from the street dancers. Because one person, that's doing turf dance, street dance, that's not the same as someone doing popping street dance. And if you have the people out there you could go talk to or go be with, and that you guys are doing research. It's not like you just said it. You just said it. It wasn't like you were like, we created this style. This is what we do. Blah, 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 we the one came up with it. You're like, no, we did choreography, and now we want to learn more of these cultures and like put them in the pocket in the show. So that's good. I think that's going to be live. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that I learned talking with a lot of the people that train within the styles right now, they said that to promote the styles, it needs to be performed more, because we do have a lot of dancers that does these styles, but they do more battle, or they attend the clubs. But from what I've gathered from like talking to different communities, they said like we feel like people should just perform it more, because at least when they're referring to their experiences before, they said that, a lot of people were performing it more. So people have more lens to, or more window to like, oh, so that's the style. And it seems like because choreography took over, there's not many performances that really like showcases these styles. So that's one thing that definitely we gathered by working with a lot of people from different styles. They said people need to see it performed more, to really kind of like get them to like, hey, look, style, look at the style, and then invite you to it. I'm sorry, Micaya, I think I cut you off. Go ahead.
Hey, I've never really heard it said that way. It's something to think about. I just was going to say that I have witnessed all of this with Str8jacket, and Crazy 8 is Str8jacket's youth group. So I've had them both at times in the DanceFest, and sometimes separately, sometimes together. I've also hosted them both at my other show that I have in June called Mission in the Mix. And I've witnessed extraordinary skill, but then this growth from them to humbly say, no, we want to stop and pause. We want to put our finger on pause and learn for a little bit, understand. And for that, I have a lot of respect for you, because you came back stronger. With the audience listening, maybe tell us about a few of these things that you've learned, a tiny little history of maybe whacking and house dancing.
Oh, absolutely. So for myself, I've trained under Rama in house dance, and he showed me so much about the culture. He's the one who introduced me to so many things. So one thing that I definitely learned that he always emphasized is that something like house dance is first a club style dance. So it's more for clubs and social dances. So once I kind of translated that in my brain and stopped thinking like housing is performance, housing is battle, and I just said, oh, it's all about connection and community. I thoroughly enjoyed and respected and definitely appreciated the style even more. And it made it very easy for me to kind of just let go of my expectations, let go of my perceptions and my ego, and kind of just let the style welcome me. And with that, I just kind of started looking forward to training more, started looking forward to dancing with people more, and then the improvement starts to happen. And then I've noticed that because for the longest time with youth, at least, it's a little hard to entice them with these kind of niche styles, because sometimes they think of this like, oh, 90s music, like kids are very, very trendy. If it's not like something like Cardi B, they're like, oh, it's like old school. But then because something like Rama introduced me to, like where the art form originates from, I was able to thoroughly dive myself into it. And I've noticed that because like I was so engulfed in it, the way I teach resonates with the youth even more. So right now, I get to a point now, they're like, are we housing today? Are we housing today? And I'm just like, oh, that's so good to hear, because it's no longer a request for TikTok dances or Fortnite dances. But so and even with whacking as a style too. When we've spoken to, we just came back from Summer Dance Forever in Amsterdam, and there was a whacking history lesson that a lot of my dancers attended by Princess Lockaroo. She shared the history, and one of the things that she shared is exactly what Micaya said, that like one person OG over here said this, one person OG over here said that. Just listen to all of them. It doesn't need to be like a factual thing, because it's these dance styles came from people's experiences. So I think thinking about the culture and the history, knowing more about it, you really appreciate it more, and we end up really wanting to engulf ourselves into this art form, and knowing the people that pioneered it brings more heart to what we're doing. So it now, dance is becoming more of a hub for community to come together, and dance is becoming more of a it promotes more longevity in dance, because in my field, in my field we do competitive choreography a lot, and with that, a lot of people tends to think that, like, oh, okay, well, at a certain time of my life, I have to stop dancing because I can't do it competitively, which is bizarre for me to hear, because I think you can dance for as long as you want. But I saw a culture of, I have to stop at some point if I can't do it competitively, and that's when we realized we got to make a shift in these competitive teams, because there's no way, right or left, you see people just stop dancing, and then after a year or two, they always bring up, I miss dancing, and I always tell them, you can still dance. I don't understand, but to them, they just can't compute that. To them, it's all about competitiveness. If I can't move big, sharp, fast, I'm not dancing. But there's culture behind it. There's history. There are pioneers. There's community. And I think that just brings so much longevity into this art form.
Yeah.
Longevity. Go ahead, Corey, even though you think you're old, Corey, but got you by a few years.
I mean, it just sounds good to me. Like, I love that your crew, Str8jacket, is in the show and able to display that, because it's very important. I mean, when you were just talking, I just remember, like in 80, I think it was 89, and a friend of mine had just come back from New York. She was, so, she was younger than us. And she was in the clubs in New York, and she came back and she was dancing. I was like, what is this? She was like, this is house dancing. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, okay, show me how to do it. And she showed me, and then I think by that same year, I had gotten my fake ID, so I was in some clubs, and then I look around, and here it is, voguers, house dancers, jackers, the older folks, older than us. We're not even supposed to be in there. We're like 14 with the 14 in the club, but learning, like, we were doing, we danced at parties, but we did the shows at school. But to be in the club, and you're like, you literally get introduced to Vogue, and it's not Vogue that you saw Madonna do. It's not Vogue but it's actually an OG in there, doing a thing. And I'm like pretending I'm Jodie Watley, and then all of a sudden, bow, 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 blah, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what is this? This is the real deal. Like, this is not school in the gym. This is the real deal. So when you get a chance to learn it and then share it, people can see that also. I can tell you that. But when we watch shows all the time, and especially with the 90s dances, a lot of people that are the Gen Xers, we watch the shows and they do the 90s dances, and then you're like, I don't know if that's, I mean, I know that's the Running Man, right? Is that I don't know, is that the Roger Rabbit? So like Micaya, you remember I brought the kids and we did the polka dot, and it was all that 90s stuff, and everyone was like, oh no, they were really doing they were really doing the dance, not just pretending. And that's because
they weren't just mimicking. It was the heart and soul of it. And I think that's what's really important. What Str8jacket is doing with Crazy 8 is giving them a view outside of just competition is all dance is about. There's no disrespect to that world, but it does seem to have a glass ceiling, and it also has one goal: to win. And these kids will now are introduced to the whole world of artistry, of culture, of longevity, and seeing that okay, there's maybe you can graduate and grow up into something else once you've passed, getting your trophies and the things that they thought they wanted as amateurs or juveniles, and maybe just kind of vibing with that. Also, there's a lot of camaraderie in it. So, I get it, but I love that you all show what else there is. And for that, I know the kids have a different perspective. Your kids have a different perspective of what's important in dance. So thank you for that. And it sounds like what you all are doing is giving a little bit of everything with the original music, and the skills. And how many dancers do you have? Like 20, 25?
Right now, I think we have about 20-ish. It fluctuates really, because since we're an adult dance team, and I think that's just kind of difficult with the Bay Area. Sometimes it's so transient when it comes to people, because people come here for work. They're contracted to work for X amount of years, and then they'd have to leave. I think it's because of all the tech companies. So we have about like 20, 25 folks. Sometimes I don't count really, but kind of just going back to, what Micaya was saying about like giving them the lens to these styles. I think San Francisco Dance Festival absolutely does that to a lot of our students as well, because I know for a fact I had a crazy last year. I think I'd love to share this with you, Micaya. When we were backstage with Crazy 8, one of my students approached me and she said, "I've been watching SF Dance Fest since I was 6. And it's actually kind of a dream come true that I'm backstage performing." I was like, "Oh, I did not know that." So, for her, it seems like, because she showed up to our studio, I don't know, when she was 8 or something, because now she's 17. So before she would attend these shows and definitely get inspired, and then they go looking for like which studio teaches dance in my area, and then we're like, "Hey, we're over here." So I think it's a collective effort. Something like San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Festival shows the whole world, or shows our area, the people that live here, that says like, "Hey, look, this is street style, club style. This is hip hop. This is something that we'd like for you to discover, support, and see." And students will see that, and then we'll take it on, because they all go home in different areas. So we'll take it on in our area and be like, "All right, got you. Let's find you a way to kind of get you to where the people that inspired you to." So I think I made that connection in my head, and I just think it's so beautiful.
Thank you for that story. I've heard that a lot from the youth that come. Definitely Corey's kids have said that they dreamed to be on the stage at the SF International Hip Hop Dance Fest, and then to finally be there was a dream come true. Right, Corey? I mean,
it is 25 years. Oh my God. It is 25 years. Right, it's 25 years. I mean, kids. I mean, you can just think about it. If someone's 18 right now and they're on stage this week, it was already going on before they was even thought of. Their whole life is watching this show. It's like, I love that you guys are coming this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. But the history of curating this festival, we started locally, so it was just me inviting people many, many, many years ago, until I started to call for applications. And this was before the internet. People would mail me DVDs and tapes to watch.
Video, VHSs.
And I would go to my post box and get a bag of, all of the things from everywhere and pop them in and watch them. Now, if we're going to talk about what we were talking about earlier, about who did what first, then all I have to say is there's something that I know that they call collective consciousness. If I'm sitting here looking at something from, Venezuela, and, the Congo and Singapore, and they're doing something similar, but this is before we had the internet and YouTube and TikTok, and we didn't have people. I mean, obviously there were people could fly, but and visit each other, but it wasn't so connected. And there was a similarity. Then there's something deeper than you can't just go, well, you copied that for me, or I did it first. There's a collective consciousness that happens on this planet, that I once again feel like came from ancestors. We cannot claim this stuff. People were here, musicality was here, drums, dance, way before we had technology. Fight me on it. But all that to say, we're honored always to preserve, to fight for the respect of this art form, and to elevate people's perceptions of what it is. Really quick story. I personally put up posters in neighborhoods myself because I like to go in and meet people. Hey, have you heard of the 25th annual San Francisco? Well, it's the first festival of its kind that honors the artistry of hip hop dance and, brings it on a global convergence on a world-class stage. And, people are usually like, oh, wow, cool. Or, for the most part, I have, all kinds of. I had this woman yesterday was like, oh yeah, let me see. And then she looked at the poster and then she went, no. And the way she said it, y'all, still makes me a little sick, because I was explaining to her while she looked at it, she saw hip hop. I was saying something about hip hop. She saw black and brown bodies. Look, I'm not accusing, but I just, how it was. It just felt really like, what are you thinking when you see this?
No.
What was in your mind? And I may be stirring up some controversy, but I really don't care. It was ugly, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the place in Noe Valley. This just happened yesterday, and I still have just like a yucky feeling, because it is representation of black and brown dancers. Like, it was versatile, like they're Latino and black, and they do all these different styles. It's just beautiful, and they have all body types in that, which people, when they see, they love, but if you're like, oh, dance, well, where are the skinny white dancers? Oh, this is okay. Thank you. And I may be adding too much, but it really, my intuition was super on. Like you said, I just felt.
Yeah, I mean, what that means, you just may have to just deliver that, 2 free tickets with the champagne. Come check it out, darling, because, we got Str8jacket coming in. And if you crazy, they gonna put you in it. All right? So, real talk. It's like, because that's a moment, where someone didn't know. She just didn't know. House music, that's like for drug addicts. I don't want to deal with that.
Thank you for letting me tell that story. I think that it was just at the edge of my skin, and I feel better just sharing it. So thank you. Everyone, November 11th and 12th, the 25th annual San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest. The first show will have Echo the Moves taught by Corey Action. You can come on stage after the show and learn some choreography, and you could win $500. Okay? $500. And don't worry, the performers of the show, they're not allowed to be in the contest. Sorry, Str8jacket, we love you, but that's fair. Okay, only audience members. Saturday night, we have Soul Train Freestyle Contest with Talise, the turfer that's the hostess with the mostest. And then on Sunday after the show, we have this gala that's going to have turfers. It's going to have a fashion show. It's going to have a raffle, award ceremony. Our legend this year is William Randolph. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Look, I'm about to cry. I'm about to cry. Okay, man.
Oh, see?
JC, see, like that's what. So William Randolph is the leader of the Black Resurgence, and when I was a kid, like 4 or 5 years old, I used to dance with a group called the Neutrons, and it was they were older. They were my cousins, and they were all like 17 or 18. But these guys were like probably early 20s or so. So I remember them. They remember me when we were little, but they would be in their suits and the jackets, and they would be with the gloves. And it's so important to recognize those OGs, because what the story he could tell, the story that group can tell is, it's one of those. It's like we were bamming, we were bamming. We were like the robots, that's different from Media Circus, Media Circus, like it's like the next, it's like this kind of walk up. So these are when you go study, and Micaya presents, William Randolph. I'm gonna have to be up in there, honey. Is that on the? Okay. Yeah, this is okay. This is beautiful.
Oh, now see, Sunday. It's on Sunday. See, now you have to be in the fashion show.
Oh my God.
We're gonna discuss. Anyway, JC, thank you so much for your time. We are so looking forward to Str8jacket once again blessing the stage at the Dance Fest. Everyone, thank you for your time. Until next time, Corey, JC, thank you to Kevin. We hope to see you at the Palace of Fine Arts.
Get your tickets now. Get your tickets now. Get your ticket right now. Right this second.
Right now. Thank you, everyone. Much love, much respect. Bye-bye.